Hello everyone, welcome back to Rebel Brick. Today we are doing our Star Wars role-playing game. We have some maps. I have a nice little adventure. Today we have our crew. They are looking for more bases to try and hide from the Empire. So this is going to be an ongoing theme with us. We'll hit different places, kind of small dungeons. These tiles, because I do want to shout this out because as I'm using things from different places, so if anyone's looking at these and saying that they could use it for any of their other space stuff, whether it's a Star Wars, Star Trek, Pathfinder has their Starfinder, and that's what this is. So I'm going to show you the box itself. This is actually Pathfinder's Starfinder space station starter set. I am a big fan of having a lot of these because I can make different scenarios and that out of different tiles. I've bought some building sets and stuff like that where you can have regular like corporate floors or because we did a little bit of Shadowrun, so I have one that is an airport, and I have another one that's like a shopping mall and that. So having tiles like this, they don't take up a lot of room in your house. I mean, it's a small box, it's not very thick. So all the tiles that I have in here are actually in a box that's really just that thick. So it's not very cumbersome, but just kind of shouting that out because, hey, doing different genres. I did D&D yesterday. Today is our Star Wars. So having the availability of different maps and that is just wonderful. Okay, so our group has landed. I'm using a different Falcon only because I figured it's only going to be in here for a brief minute. This way you get a little context of where we are. We have an old abandoned asteroid base. This was used during the Separatist War. This was also used by the Separatists. Looking through some archives, so we're here trying to see if it's still a viable base that maybe we could kind of take over and use. So that's what we're looking at today. We're still on our quest to try and see what we can find for different bases. So we do have a hangar. I just want this to look like it is big enough to actually have a couple different ships in there. Probably say like 2 YT-1300s or something like that. Not overly big, something that you can manufacture, get it snuck out of there and go. So this is our starting point. Here are our group. So of course we have Harry. We have Zeros. Without the gun, that's Barry. And with the gun is James. Alright, so there's the four of us as we get going. So as we leave here, we have this is all rock around us. This is actual space, so we have like an energy barrier or whatever that's keeping debris from coming in. Space out, and of course a little bit of an atmosphere. As we enter into the facility, the air is kind of on the thinner side. It does seem like it has been wearing down, but it is still kind of kept up to marginal standards. So we can walk around without really needing much of anything else to try and help sustain us. Our characters will be wearing a breath mask just to try and help get through, because with this having been an abandoned base, we just don't know exactly what else we're going to need. I'm going to move this over. I'm going to take our Falcon out of here, or our ship, which I never gave a designation as to what it exactly is, but alright, so let me move our characters over, and I'm going to kind of stack these up a little bit. We're going to move these off camera. I don't think we're going to be coming back to them, but trying to keep it somewhat so we can figure this out. Because honestly, this is a little bit of a fly-by-wire. I don't have an actual map designated, and I do want this to be a little bit of a bigger base, not something overly small. And with there being a sort of construction or whatever here, I want something to represent that as well. Okay, so we're gonna exit out. We have a hallway with a small generator here. Actually, no, we're not going to have a generator there. That wouldn't make sense because I need something like this. I need no generator because if we have that here, just my mind works as it is. Not always the brightest, and I will never say I am. Okay. So we come into this hallway, and we will put our pilots first, our engineer, and then we have zeros. Zeros, if you remember from last week, we did give him an upgrade. I will go over some of his upgrades. I had rolled off, off screen last week. Let's see here. So we did get him upgraded a little bit. Computer programming and repairing and all that. If you look at Xanabar's fantastic technology, there are guides as to paying to upgrade things or whatever else. I'm not worrying too much about the money aspect because our characters are being taken care of by the Rebel Alliance. So essentially what I'm doing on this one, they do have a few credits on their persons as it is, but outside of that, really we are going through requisitions and all that, trying to see if it's okay to get upgrades to something. So I had to kind of roll for some upgrades. We do have his blaster on there. Of course, we have a light armor chassis, which does give him a little bit of extra armor. We were able to get a blaster skill of a 4+1, and I'm thinking of changing things just a little bit, maybe from a D20 to a D6 to a D20, because I do have the old D20 system. When Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro had owned all that. This is nice and easy, but if I'm doing everything anyways, I might want to do that because I'm doing Dungeons and Dragons, and that keeps everything relatively the same. But I'm just asking anyone any of you that are watching this, if you have any preferences. If I stay in this, which I've done for many years, it's just going from one system to another, and of course then my silly mind, I wander on over to another system or whatever, because every so often I get an urge for a different sci-fi and just trying to think of how things would work a little bit better. But as we get going here, just food for thought. If you have a preference of what you would like me to try, if you want me to do a D20 or stay in our D6 is still a lot of fun. But I do have the D20. I do not have the Fantasy Flight Games. I believe they are the ones that have the newest version of Star Wars. I do not have theirs. And I don't think I'm going to run out and buy that because I already have two other systems. I have I will never say I have all the books. I have easily 2 shelves worth of books for Star Wars, although half the time when I'm trying to look there, because I do have some other stuff in front of it, including a nice big BB-8, which he sits there in the corner there right in front of the bookcase, and I always have BB-8 here kind of keeping an eye on me, getting a little dusty along the way. I'm never alone. I'm always here with something. Like I said, I do love Star Wars. I love doing Star Trek and all the other stuff. But like I said, I was thinking maybe I should fire up the old Star Wars as a D20 and run with that, which doesn't really change all that much. It just which dice I'm rolling And with the fact that this is a hybrid, using stuff from the D6 space and the D6 adventure, with the hit points and all that, it might actually work a little bit better. If you're following this at home and trying to make sense out of this, maybe it would be easier. So please let me know in the comments and see, and let me see what you think about it. Okay, so we actually open up our door, because I'm going to say that there should be a door here or whatever, a wider, nice wide cargo door, just in case this gets shut off. We can keep everything inside the base. Alright, so having 3 different directions that we can go here. We can continue going straight, which I think if we should be able to see roughly what we have here, seeing that these aren't overly big tiles. Let's see. I'm going to say this should probably be, actually let me put this here, and then I'm going to have let's see, just trying to figure this out here. Alright, nope, we're going to do this. Okay. From their viewpoint, I think that they should definitely be able to see at least one extra tile out, and I'm going to go with this one having a generator, which would make some sense. Alright, so we do notice that there is a slight amount of dust that's been built up, but there's a lot of scrape marks, like footprints, but some of them aren't, they don't look like normal human footprints, most likely like a droid or something like that. That there are prints that go through from time to time, but obviously it doesn't look like anyone's really been dusting or keeping everything up. So this has been kind of left for a while, but there are some, like I said, obvious kind of foot scrapes in some of the dust. So we'll have to kind of keep that in mind. I'm kind of walking into this just as blind as you are, because my mind is coming up with how we're going to do this. I have an idea of what I want, but I don't know, just looking at the tiles I have, how I'm going about doing this. So if this seems a little chaotic, it is done that way on purpose, just to keep myself in the dark as much as I can for you. Because obviously if I'm doing this, I don't like to have all the information. If I was a player, I wouldn't have that information, and that's why I've been trying to keep things with random rolls and everything else. And I hope that you guys can see that, and hopefully you appreciate it. And we just kind of go from that. Alright, I think we're going to go to the left. So we're going to kind of move on over here. We have some rooms. We actually have doors here. We haven't opened any of these doors up. We're just kind of going through, trying to see what we can see for a first level here. I'm going to say that there's some footprints coming from here. So if there's footprints, probably a good chance that something's been in there. Something may be in there. So let's go find out what we have. We're going to check the door. Let me roll the, see if the door is locked. Well, we'll just say it this way. We'll try and open the door. The door is not locked, and then we'll see what we see. So, doing a... Alright, so I rolled a 6. So, in my mind, 6 is going to be empty. A 1, maybe a 1 and a 2 is going to have something in there. So I rolled a 6. There's nothing in there. What we do see is this was obviously at one point a storage room. We see some miscellaneous parts in here. Looks like internal parts. So we have internal computer components that could be used for various electronics and that. So James is going to look over to Barry and say, "Hey, what was this? What was this used for by the Separatists?" Barry said, "Well, our dossier had said that it is really just it was a manufacturing outpost of some sort, but we don't know fully what. So with computer components, I don't know if this is stuff for ships, or if this is stuff for droids, or if this was for making weapons or whatever. Didn't sound like it was a very big base, but it is something here. So with that being what it is, we'll go on to the next spot. So as we turn the corner, we're going to see our corner goes on. And so do our footprints. So our footprints come out of here, and it goes off this way. So that's what we can see going around. So the question is, do we keep following the footprints, which in some regards makes some sense. Seeing that it does look mechanical, very simply, it just could be maybe a leftover droid, because that's what it looks like the footprints would be. So maybe we'll just follow the footprints at the moment. Outside of that, I don't see any footprints going to either of these doors. As we round the corner, these doors look like they are untouched as well. So the only problem is our bases, and if you do use Legos, I would say if you had like a 3x3 base, that works a little bit better than the 4x4. They're just a little bit too big, and doing a preset map like this, because these are 1-inch tiles, a 4x4 is bigger than 1 inch. A 3x3, 3 stud by 3 stud is perfect for that. And I know I have, actually, if you see any of my comics, I do have some of my characters, and they are on, as I get one off of here, they're on bases, little hex bases like this, and that works pretty good. The unfortunate part is I don't remember who I got those from. I think, because I'm in Wisconsin here, I think we had gone to Mall of America and I had seen those bases there at one of the I think they had two different stores that were selling custom made Legos, and then there's the Lego store. One of those stores, I believe, was selling these, but because I only have a couple of them, and I've been saving these on our D&D characters for whenever the guys come around again and we actually get going on our D&D, I'm not using them on the other ones. So, all right. So as we come around here, I'm going to say it looks like the footprints come into here. So we're going to slowly edge on over here, walking around our kind of reactor here. We're going to check the door, see if the door opens. The door opens, and we have, and I don't have a droid for this, so I'm going to pause this a second and try and figure out where I stuffed everything here. Alright, so I did find a couple battle droids. I'm just trying to get a couple foot markers kind of taken apart here, because I had them all kind of stuck together. Just trying to get my droids on here. Alright. That way I have my bad guys all set up that I wasn't thinking about earlier. Okay, so what we have here is we actually have a it's an archive droid. So the archive droid is working on a small computer console and looks up at the group and lunges out trying to attack the group. It has no weapons. It is just trying to literally try and just smack us. And we will go from there. Okay. So it's got the drop on us, I will say. Well, actually, let me roll. Green is the archive, and us, and yes, it gets the initiative. So, archive droid swings right at. I don't see a. Nope, that is James. Archive droid has a dexterity of 2. So we have 2D trying to attack. And he gets a 10. So he hits Barry. And he's got a strength of 1D plus 2. So 4 points. Well, Barry's got armor on. And his armor actually... Or not Barry, James. James got armor. So for physical, it hits him, but it doesn't do any damage. So James picks up his blaster that he's got in his hand, and he is now up to 5 dice for an attack. That's 4, 5. Okay, so we got... There's 8, 11... Yeah, we definitely hit. And then we do 4D for damage. Okay. So I've got 6, 12, 14. Our archive droid has 28 health. So I'm going to grab a tablet here so I can try and write down where we're sitting. He's now down to 14. Alright. At this point, because it's a very narrow doorway where everyone else is sitting, I don't think anyone else is really going to be able to attack. It's just too tight of a fit here. So we're going to have our archive droid try and attack again. Dexterity of 2. And he got a 1 on his wild die, so really he just misses. Then we have James. Shoots again. He's got a 6 on the wild die. And I got a 4. Yeah, he definitely hits. Take 1 die away for our attack. And we roll. We have 12. 17. So our droid, actually wait a minute, I did 14 last time, didn't I? Okay, I did 14. He does have a, because of his strength and that, just rolling there, he's got an armor of 6, so it wouldn't have been all 14. He would have been down 8 points, so I had to put him at 20. This time would have been an 11. So he's down to 9. Alright. Unless my math is faulty. That's, like I said, I will never say I'm the smartest person in the world. Alright. Archive droid hits a 4. We're looking for a 10. So he misses. And even with that, yep, James misses 2. I've got a 7. So back to the archive droid. He's got a 10. He hits for 5 points, which doesn't do any damage. So James takes another shot, and we have, there's a 10 right there. Take 1 die away. Okay. Doing 6 points of damage. So our droid is down to 3 points. Our droid attacks. We got a 3. That's not enough. James fires again. And now we got, here's our 10. Okay. You got 4 points damage. That's enough to kill off the droid. Droid shuts down and is dead. So what we're going to do at this point is, I think we're going to get Zeros in here, because Zeros has computer program repair. We're going to give him all the time he needs while we are exploring the rest of the base. We want to get whatever information that this archive droid has. So we will let Zeros. Actually, I'll tell you what, why don't we take this droid? Alright, well, I'm trying to remember in watching like the Clone Wars and all that stuff, I think the head of the droid would be enough to get whatever information we need out of it. I think that they've always done it that way in like the TV shows and all that. So I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to run Zeros. So we'll take Zeros out of here. And we're going to have just the head, so that way if the droid gets reactivated, this droid cannot try and help do damage to our ship. We're going to let them go back to our ship. And then Zeros can take all the time to try and get all the information. So at that point, not having any stress, anything else, we can just take our time, hook everything up, and just do things correctly. But what it does mean is we won't have Zeros for pretty much the rest of our exploring. So I'll just move Zero's character sheet over a little bit, and I'll look at the rest of us. Okay. So moving from this point on, let's see, we should be able to see out here. So let me see what we have. That is a perfect one. That is exactly what I was looking for. Okay. So moving along here, we don't really see all too much in footprints moving forward. As we kind of come around here, and this should have had something out here as well. Let me get... Let's see here. See what I can find here. So I've got an idea of what I want to look for, but unfortunately I'm just not finding the right tile for it. Alright, I think this will do. This is just a back wall. And I think I got someone chewing on their cage. Alright, we will see that. There. Alright. Set this underneath there. Alright, so we're going to explore around here, just kind of getting the lay of the land, and this is going to come back around. So, with what we can see, we have some storage here. This one, which I will mark, that was a computer console. This is a turbo lift, so for going up, or for obviously an elevator. So just kind of looking at it from there, now we have some rooms that we need to investigate. Now, keeping in mind, there's some dust here, and we just have not seen very many footprints. It just looks like he's been kind of going back and forth, but really for not much of anything. I'm thinking at this point, now we do have an elevator, but I think we have a pretty secure base here. But we're going to investigate the other floors, and we're just going to take a peek in the room. So as we go around, and I'll just kind of skip a little bit of this just to try and speed things up a little bit. So what we're going to find is these corner rooms are more of storage. So we find computer components. We start finding droid like legs, arms. Some of these smaller rooms here have more completed parts, like things that are together ready to go. But it doesn't look like anything has really been moved in and out. Like I said, the floor is really dusty. And then we kind of come over here into our computer control area. So what we see here is, this is our control for our entry in, and everything's been left unlocked. You can kind of come through. So surprisingly enough, there hasn't been any asteroid or anything trying to force its way through. We've been lucky in that. As I come around, because my throat's getting dry. So as we're looking at the computer monitors and everything else, we see that, you know, the base has pretty much been unlocked. What we can't see is any other floor from here. This does not give us any other indication of what else is going on with whatever that elevator is attached to. So this means that whatever we do, we're going to have to go into that elevator and then go on up. Now it does actually cover four squares here, so that should be enough room for our group to get into, and we're going to go from there. So as I try to re-figure out where everything goes, kind of resetting the map, we're going to put our characters right in here. So obviously this has got to lead up to something similar. All right. And like I said, I'm just trying to put everything back here, clean this up so that way we can have wherever we're expanding out to. I'm just trying to line this up so that way when I'm looking for pieces right along this edge here, just I think outside of your view, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. I'm just trying to line it up so that way when I'm looking for certain pieces, I have an idea of how I want to arrange this. And that's really all I'm doing. That's the only point of doing the silliness that I'm doing, just so it's a little easier as I'm trying to get this to go. Alright, so we do have an elevator here. We come up and we jump out. Now, this area that we can see is completely different from what we have had before. This area is clean. So we can't tell any footprints or anything else. This looks like it's been well maintained, and obviously we have a little bit more of a serious power use going on in this area. We could only go in one direction, so this took us to wherever we could go. We only had the one button, so we don't know if we actually went up or we went down. This is a big enough asteroid that we could have multiple levels. Obviously, when you look at a YT-1300, it is roughly about 3 floors high, because you have like, if you look at the Millennium Falcon, for sure, you have the undercarriage, which is enough that Han could actually walk underneath, maybe work on the blaster. So you have about 1 floor there. There's also the 1 floor that they're on, and then with the blaster, the radar dish, and everything else, there's an extra room for another floor. So that's 3 levels high for sure. Enough for them to get in and out. Maybe even if you say 4 or whatever, it is big enough there. So what we don't know is, did we go above that or did we go below it? You know, we just kind of felt a move. So, and seeing that everything is an artificial gravity, it kind of throws things off a little bit. All right. So what we do see is we have rooms kind of coming off here. We have this coming out here, and to say I can look out far enough, I'm going to keep it so I can stay in here, but just trying to think how I want to do this. So I only have so many of these. Yeah, I'm going to put it like this. Okay. So we can see out, and from what we can see, this is a nice hallway. Oops, actually this should be cut off here. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. So you get to see kind of where my mind is going here. So we can see that this ends out in a wall, and that's what this is. And we have a wall over there. I'm just trying to keep everything so that way it stays within the confines of what we can see here. And unfortunately, I'm on the back side, so I can't see the laptop screen, so I can't see how well we're doing here. Just kind of walking around here, trying to get a good idea. All right, so here we are. This is what we can kind of see. I can't see what's going on. If we can see that there's a wall here, let's go out this way. We will start looking in this direction. So we're going to get our guys looking out here. We're not investigating rooms. We're just trying to get a layout of the land because we don't know what is what. Let's see. Move them out to the side. We have I'm going to put this here. Okay. So we can see that this extends out, and I don't know how much farther out I can go that you guys can see, because I think I'm getting towards the limit there. And yeah, that will be our limit for the most part. We'll start walking out, thinking that this is all fairly empty. We're not under attack, but there's obviously something out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to run into, as we come around, I just kind of moved them, we're going to have another droid. We're going to find this droid coming into here from whatever this is, and he's got a broom. So we well, like a broom or a cleaner or whatever they're going to use in Star Wars. I'm going to say probably a broom. He's been tasked to try and maintain the floors, keep them nice and clean, and that's what he will do. He's going to look at us, and he's going to drop the broom, and he's going to attack us. So something is going on with whatever these droids are up to that we are just not very welcome. Let's see here. I need something for that, or for that droid, for behind the droid, and I've got an idea here. I just don't know how I can make it work as well as I want. Alright, well, I'm going to put this here. So what we can see from here is this opens up to what we don't know. Okay? And actually I might have to get some other figures or something out here. Okay. So we have the availability that this is something here. Looks like a lift of some sort, but what, I don't know. Our droid comes hand to hand with us trying to attack us again, and that's what we're going to go with. Probably to the same extent of what we had prior. And, ooh. So I got a 12 with a 6 here. And our droid hits us. And he does... Oh, wrong sheet. I printed out the sheet so that way I don't have to keep looking up on the computer, because I do kind of like having paper sheets. So I have the character sheets here. Alright, strength is a 1d plus 2. So whatever we have, 5 points, that doesn't make it past his armor. Okay, so biffs him 1, but it doesn't make it past his armor. He's just, you know, these guys just are not designed for this. So that is just where our problem comes in. Okay. So we have James, he's going to shoot first. And we have our 10 right here. I have a -1 die, so that way we can roll. And I've got 12. 16. So we have 10 points going through already. Uh-oh. 10. That's 16. My mind is working. I get another 6. Okay, 22. And then we got 26 go through. He has 28 hit points, so he's down to 2 hit points left. And then we have Barry. He has a 5d plus 1. There's our 10 right there, so that hits. Minus the 1d for damage. Alright, and now he's got a 6 on the wild die. So even if I was to say, take that 6 away, just minusing the 6 that it's got, that's 10 points. He only had 1 point left. This droid is gone. Alright. So I'll move him over there so that way I can find him. I'm not burying him underneath paperwork or anything. Okay, so we look at each other and says, okay, so we have archive droids maintaining a base. You think we're going to run into anything more serious than this? Barry's looking at James like, probably not. Surprising that these droids are still operational. No maintenance, no nothing over all these years. And that's where the problem kind of comes into. They're still functional, but without having proper maintenance, they're probably going to start grinding down to a halt. Alright. So, I'm going to have James look over here, Barry's going to look over here, and we're going to have Harry there kind of stay in between. Actually, Harry's going to look and check out what the controls on this are, and that's going to be his search, so that's 3D plus 1. Alright, so this looks like it is a lift of some sort. Let's do a little computer trying to computer program repair. We're going to try and see if we can't diagnose with his little computer. I'm going to guess he's going to have like a little diagnostic computer that he's a tech. So, all right. So we got 12, 14, 19. I think that gives them a pretty good idea. It looks like this lift goes down about maybe 1 floor. What they would need a lift to go down 1 floor for, we're not exactly certain yet. Maybe it's just storing extra parts or something. I don't know. Okay. Now going out here, we're going to kind of put a curve onto this, and that's going to open up. So I do have one that curves. If I can find this correctly, I think it might be on the bottom. Yes, it is. Okay, so it's essentially this piece going over here. I don't know how well you can see it. Maybe I should shove all this over a little bit, but these don't always sit flat for some reason. Well, it probably doesn't help. I've got this sitting up on my shelf like it's a book, so that might be why these have a little bit of a bend to them. Okay. So this has a wall to it. So as he looks out here, we start seeing this, which is going to be walled off here. Is essentially a manufacturing area. And it looks like it kind of continues on over here. And what we're going to find is there are now partially completed droids. So I'm going to take a couple of these, and these guys are all kind of stacked up here. They're hanging on racks. And then there's miscellaneous tables out here. So essentially we've now discovered what this was. This was a droid manufacturing base with droids partially manufactured. But that's really all there is. There's no, from what we can see, they're not complete. So we're going to work our way around, making sure we don't undo anything. Okay. So as we come around, we enter into this hallway. We're going to let Harry kind of look into it as we're kind of exploring here. This is going to now is where I'm going to put this. So we can see that there are 2 more elevators here. Okay. Harry's going to look at it. Let me roll my dice and see what he sees. Looking at the computer consoles. Okay, so I got 10, 14, 19. I think that should be enough for Harry to be able to sit here and say this facility is essentially has been shut down. It looks like it's got a bunch of corrupted files, which may also be why we've been attacked. It looks like they were manufacturing the droids for a while, and probably about 10 years ago the files had all kind of gotten corrupted. So all the files, from what this readout is saying, all the files for these battle droids are not installed. The droids themselves have been built, but the droids themselves don't have any actual programming. They're just waiting for someone to program them. And this is kind of where I was kind of going with this. So as we have it, our group has now found a nice usable base that we could use for the Rebel Alliance. There might be a couple extra droids in here, but we still have 2 more turbolifts. So the question is, where do these turbolifts go? So we're going to continue around a little bit, and I'll just kind of flesh this out really quick. Just kind of showing you what we somewhat have here. So this will kind of go out here. these just kind of corner off one after another, and then we'll take the time and we will start going through. This area is actually meant more as a living quarters, supplies and all that. The regrettable part is, you know, there are food stocks in some of these food stocks and all the other amenities that you would think of for people to live here. And really this station is not set up so much as a military base, just as a manufacturing base. So what we don't find is any guns. Whoever, if there was guns, or even if I designate a room that did have guns, all those guns are gone. That's all been taken away. So essentially at the end of the Confederacy War, or during the Clone Wars, anybody that left us in charge of whatever couple droids that have been keeping this place up, they essentially took the guns out of here. And probably we don't find anything outside of just scraps, stuff it's there, it could be used. Looks like it's been somewhat maintained. Most of these rooms have been cordoned off. Really, it looks like it needs to really be kind of refurbished. To sit here and think that you have a droid that's trying to maintain everything. The clothing is they only have so much water. So it's like the wash machine, the water supplies here are down. The bad water or whatever is still fine. Or the bad water is a full tank. It's like it just needs to be revitalized. Kind of someone come in, empty out all the bad water, put in clean water, stuff like that. And it was trying to maintain everything to the best of its ability as an archive droid. Now, we have 2 turbo lifts. We are getting towards an hour. And usually I kind of cut this off at an hour. We're going to take this elevator down first. And I'm not going to redo a map, but what we're going to find is there's a floor here that is just stockpiled with battle droids. So we have a ready army of essentially the first I guess it would actually be the second generation battle droids, the ones that could actually think on their own, although it was very basic logic. Not the ones from the Phantom Menace where they needed that droid control ship. It is that next generation that they had. And we have all of that going on. The far elevator also goes to that same area, so that way you can go in, you can take a regular elevator and inspect everything. And nothing has the programming in it, so they're just sitting there in racks, just ready to go. Just they need to be plugged in with some programming. The other elevator, though, that one we will kind of cover. So we go up and we get into that, and what we are going to find is a very similar layout to this minus this. So and we are going to find, because I'm just kind of trying to wrap this up because I'm getting towards our hour. I just want to kind of cut it off, so I'm just like thinking, hey, if my guys are over and he's saying, hey, he's got to get going home or whatever, you know, because we're kind of at our tapping out point. I just want to wrap this up here. So what we're going to find is we actually have a observer droid that is just barely functioning. It's down to just its most basic, and it doesn't even know that the war has been over for the last how many years, and it was trying to maintain building stuff, but it didn't have the personnel. all it had is just those 2 droids, and it thought that it would have a resupply of personnel to actually continue working. So and with everything getting corrupted, here we are. So we have a fully functional base that we can use for the Rebel Alliance. So we're going to end it here. We're going to jump into our ship. We're going to mark this, and we're going to send that information or fly that information over to the Rebel Alliance. That way we have another base. Chances are we won't see this base again in our own use, but we have a place for the Rebel Alliance. And we will continue working on finding another base in our next episode, and we will see what adventures await us there. With that being said, I hope you had a wonderful time today. I hope this gives you ideas for your own campaigns. I hope you have a wonderful day, and keep bricking.